What's going on, you guys? Michael Elefante here. In this video, we're going to cover 10 simple tricks for a better Airbnb setup that's going to help you guys be more profitable, appear higher on Airbnb search, get more bookings, all of the things. We're gonna start off with number one, add simple amenities that are cost effective. You don't have to spend a fortune on putting an in-ground pool in to make a higher profit and appear higher in search, get better reviews. So some of these things are very simple. If you have the space for it outside, add things like a fire pit, a grill, a ping pong table inside or outside. Think things like that are maybe a few $100s, but they can help you make thousands of dollars more per year. So obviously it's more attractive for a guest to see that in your photos in your listing. But the more important thing is that allows you to check more boxes in the Airbnb amenities section. Why is this important? Airbnb continues to grow their platform, and every month that I go on Airbnb, it seems that new amenities are available, like more specific amenities. So the more things you can check off, the higher you're going to appear in search. And secondly, if guests or travelers are using filters to look at specific amenities in their listings that they know they want to have, you may not even appear in search if you don't have some of those things. So my advice to you is to look at your property. You can go on AirDNA, you can go on Airbnb, look at some of the top performers and see what all amenities that they have and offer to guests and make sure that you have those ones. Number two is to leverage the dead spaces in your property. What I mean by this is oftentimes there's spaces in certain rooms, for example, a master bedroom that may be very large, and instead of just having a bed and nothing else in it, add an amenity to it. Add a home office setup. It helps you check that box on the amenities. And number two, adding something like a home office is going to appeal to a different type of traveler than your ordinary vacationer or weekend traveler, especially if you're in an urban market. If you want to help get your occupancy rate up and get more midweek bookings, adding something like a home office would be really helpful. You can also add things like a home gym. This also checks another amenity, going back to point number one. But a lot of times people have extra space, maybe in living rooms, a garage, or maybe like a sunroom or something. So instead of just putting extra seating area, add an amenity like a home gym. This also appeals to more midweek travelers, which will help you guys get more bookings. If you have an extra large walk-in closet, you can add things such as a vanity or a get-ready station, especially if you're catering toward ladies out there or bachelorette parties. This is a huge amenity as a get ready. It makes like a moment or a photo moment for them to remember. Number three is garages. A lot of time travelers booking Airbnbs may not even be bringing cars. So if you have ample parking in the driveway or on public parking spaces on the street, then I recommend leveraging that garage space. So you can go all the way to full spectrum, converting the garage completely to something like a theater room or a game room or a home gym, which we've done in many properties in the past, and we've seen an incredible return on that investment. Now, if you still want to use the garage as usable space for cars, what I would recommend doing is still having something like a ping pong table or maybe some other games that can fold away and be on the side of the garage so the cars can still fit. But you can take photos with everything out and maybe decorate the walls a little bit and add some additional photo moments for your listing, and it can attract more viewers and bookings. Number four, this is one of the most critical things to help your listing really pop. So most people make the mistake of a lot of the walls in their house, they're just all the same color. It's very bland. Usually they're a white or a tan color, and it becomes very washed out, and every photo seems very similar. The only thing that's different is maybe some of the furniture pieces. So what I recommend doing is having accent walls. This can be as simple as the backdrop behind the headboard in each of your bedrooms to be a different color paint, very cheap, cost effective, or you can have some fun with it and add some wallpaper and maybe add some additional lighting on the sides of the beds. You can also do this in living spaces as well, and it can create a photo moment depending what you put as the accent wall. This is going to add a lot of different textures to your photos and your listing on Airbnb, and it's going to keep the viewer on your page or listing for a longer period of time, which is going to result in a higher frequency of bookings. We've done this with all of our properties, and it really helps us stand out. Number five is creating what I'll call Instagrammable moments. Really what this is creating a moment that someone is very interested in taking a photo and then posting online or just keeping on their phone as a memory that they cherish. Do not underestimate the power of a single photo moment. People are willing to pay hundreds or thousands of dollars to create a memorable experience. We have a butterfly mural that looks like somebody has wings on in one of our Nashville properties, and this has allowed us to book at several $100s more per night than the neighboring properties, which are the same exact floor plan. You don't have to just do murals with wings though, of course. You can do other things like creating an awesome ambiance outside, having string lights up, a fire pit, and having the grill on. And make sure you create the mood. Like when someone's looking at your photos on Airbnb, they're immersed in that experience already. They can see themselves having a drink or a coffee out by the fire in the morning or in the evening and already see themselves having a good time. There's a variety of these types of things, so I recommend looking at some listings online and you guys will get some inspiration. Number 6 is having high quality photography, but a lot of people think just having clear photos is what you need. It's not just photos, but it's also the editing and the aesthetic that you want to appear on your Airbnb listing. A real estate listing on the MLS or on Zillow is going to be very different from the type of photography or the editing style that you're gonna want on your Airbnb listing. Photos are obviously important, but staging your property is equally as important. Make sure the tables are set. You can have out charcuterie boards, drinks, mimosa station, wine. Like, make sure people immerse themselves in your listing and can already see the possibilities of them having a great time with their friends or family before they even click book. A lot of people set up their listing, it's maybe the lights aren't even on, it's dark, and then the tables are very bland, there's no towels out on the beds, the fire pit's not on outside, the hot tub cover's on, and basically there's just nothing really going on in your listing to get me super excited about it. Anything that's a possibility to make the photo pop, do it. So make sure the hot tub cover's off, lights are on, the fire pit's on, maybe have the grill stage, the table set, towels out by the pool, all those things. It makes it look more of like a magazine-worthy shot versus the listing I just described before. Photos are really critical, especially your first photo and your first 5 photos. Let me explain why this is so important. Your first photo is critical because that is one thing that everyone is scrolling on Airbnb or whatever platform they're booking on, and that's the one thing they see. In order to even get a click, which gets you to your splash page to see the rest of your listing, you have to capture their attention and their interest. The biggest mistake I see people make is their first photo and the first 5 photos. That first photo does not need to be a wide angle shot from the street of the front of your house. And I'll tell you, a lot of the legacy property managers out there will have that. And what's even worse is you get to the splash page, which you have 5 photos, and they're all just different angles of the front of the house. Remember, this is not a Zillow listing. You don't want to make it seem like I'm looking from the front of the house, and then when I walk in the house and go to each room and the kitchen and the living room. What you want are your top 5 moments within that property to be on your splash page, and your number 1 moment to be on the listing cover photo. Because in order to have someone spend more than just a few seconds, our attention spans have shrunk due to social media. If they're gonna spend more than a few seconds on your listing, they have to be so bought in to give you another click and then click through all of the photos. So you need to have them bought in. Now, if you have amenities like a game room, a fire pit, a pool table, I've come across listings where they're so far back in the listing, like on photo 30, 40, or 50, I didn't even know they had them. So that's a problem because most guests are only scrolling through the first 5 or 10 photos and then they're writing off listings and on to the next one. So if you don't have those top amenities up front, you guys are doing yourself a big disservice. Number 7 is having a fully stocked kitchen. And no, this doesn't mean provide groceries for your guests. What I mean by this is having more than just a very basic plate and silverware set. People that are staying in your property, especially if it's a vacation property and staying more than just 1 or 2 days at a time, are likely going to go to the grocery store and then cook meals for their family. There's nothing more disappointing when I'm on vacation with my family and getting into a place where there's only like 4 cups, 4 plates for a place that sleeps 8 or 10 people, and there's not ample items that I can actually cook with. So what I recommend doing is going through your own kitchen or through your parents' kitchen, whoever actually has a fully stocked kitchen, and make a list of all of the items that you're like, that would be nice to have, that would be nice to have. Now, you don't need every single item under the sun, like a rice cooker necessarily, but it is really important to have all the appropriate cookware and bakeware, maybe have a crock pot, 1 or 2 ways to make coffee, and you want to be able to have a fully stocked kitchen. That way the guest isn't hammering you with questions, oh, I can't cook, I bought all this food, because guests will bring it up to you. And it will attract more families to book and get you all those extra check boxes on the Airbnb amenities list. Number 8, I recommend turning Instant Book on. A lot of new Airbnb hosts are very hesitant to turn this on because they fear people are just going to throw parties in their house. Now, with that being said, I don't recommend turning Instant Book on just for anybody. There's a couple parameters that you can check off in order to allow a traveler to book instantly. Some of those parameters include having a government verified ID with Airbnb. They've had previously good reviews and recommended by other hosts and things like that. So it's important to turn Instant Book on because it's going to help you appear higher in search and get more bookings and get bookings faster. It's also going to help you guys eliminate some of the time spent responding to guest inquiries or requests to book. The best possible guest, Instant Books, they get the automated check-in instructions, they get the automated checkout instructions, and they leave you a 5-star review and you never hear a peep from them. That is as passive as Airbnb can possibly get. However, it's not always going to be that smooth. But by turning Instant Book on, you're going to enable yourself for more opportunities as such. Number 9, this is more on the operations side once you have a property launched, but leveraging software automation tools. I'll say that again, leverage software. And the reason I say that so emphatically and importantly is because I did not do this until my 3rd property was launched. I was crazy. I also didn't have a mentor at the time. So I was just kind of flying by the seat of my pants. I did not use dynamic pricing software, a property management software. I didn't use things to automate schedules with my cleaners. And this was almost a disaster. I was spending so much time. Remember, Airbnb is not just real estate, it's hospitality. So if you guys don't leverage software, you're going to be spending hours per week tweaking your listing, tweaking your pricing, responding to guests, sending check-in and checkout instructions. So by leveraging software tools, you're going to be able to automate around 90% of the day-to-day business. And if you have everything set up correctly with your systems like pricing, management software, automated guest messaging, your cleaners, maintenance, you shouldn't really be spending more than 30 to 60 minutes per week per listing. There are many different software tools out there. Some of the ones that I personally use are Guesty for property management, and I use Price Labs for my dynamic pricing. And for most of my properties, I also use Turno, formerly Turnover BNB, and that is a cleaning management software. Speaking of cleaning, this leads me to point number 10, which is hiring cleaners that are more than just cleaners. And this is a very important point in order to have an Airbnb that is more automated and more self-sufficient over time, so you do not have to be present or local to your property. Obviously, having great cleaners that keep the place clean and make sure there's better reviews from guests is very important. However, most cleaners are just cleaners and they're not necessarily trained to keep an eye out for damage at your property or things that need to be replaced or report missing items, so on and so forth. So by level setting your expectations with your cleaners when you're interviewing them, it's almost like having them as an extension to your property management team. You want them to be looking for damage, to sending you photos, to ensuring the guest experience is on par each and every time. And also for maintenance items, a lot of times your cleaners are going to know somebody that also does house maintenance, because remember, they're probably not just cleaning your property. So property maintenance is one of the hardest things to do remotely, but by having your cleaners that are in sync with handymen or maintenance people, it's going to help automate and take some of that pressure off of you as the host. That wraps up the 10 simple tricks to improve your Airbnb setup. If you guys want more tips and tricks like this, anything short-term rental or real estate related, just give my page a follow.